A few weeks ago, I saw someone enter my house through the recently installed doorbell camera, but I couldn't see them leave. Interestingly, the next day the footage had been deleted. This piqued my curiosity, so I took on the role of detective and began investigating my soon-to-be ex-wife, who knew me well and noticed that I had become suspicious of her behavior. She believed that I had discovered some evidence, probably from the recently installed doorbell camera that she had deleted. I was in the process of installing in-home cameras and recording devices. However, she eventually confessed, admitting to an ongoing affair that had been going on for about a year. I was away most of the week helping my elderly parents. She admitted that I deserved better. She mentioned being fair in our divorce, agreeing to sell our house and split the proceeds. There's a possibility that she may end up paying the alimony for a period of time or a lump sum. We are splitting most of the debt, and the sale of the house will probably take care of that, leaving a little for us to start over. It's really disappointing and feels like such a letdown. It's so unfair. I admit that I've been building up anger and wanted to get even somehow, but there's hardly anyone to expose them to. Who would even care on the affair partner's side? There's no one to expose either, since he's single or well divorced, and he seemed to know more about the state of my marriage than I did. Their relationship wasn't even close, and it's possible this wasn't their first time, but I decided not to dwell on it and avoid causing more pain. This situation comes at a difficult time for me, as I'm dealing with elder care issues and just don't have the energy or desire to fight for anything right now. She has offered to try to work things out, but we both know there's too much pain and damage between us, and she knows how broken I still am from being betrayed over 25 years ago. Even before we got together, some wounds never really healed. I've been wondering lately if our whole relationship was just a rebound, but I'm a committed person, and once I commit, I'm all in. Maybe I did that too soon now. I don't even believe in people or relationships being worth it. I can't imagine ever trusting anyone again. So here there is no confrontation, no revenge, no exposing, and no reason. Just two horrible, emotionless lives torn apart. Now I have to figure out how to rebuild myself without my pride and ego. It's just another failure to add to the long list of failures in my life. The life I knew is over, and I'm just going through the motions of getting things done on autopilot. I don't even want to go home, but I have to pack and get the house ready to sell. Then I have to find an apartment, but I don't even know where I want to live. It's all so lousy. I have wasted more than half my life on someone. The road ahead seems like a void, and the only reason I get out of bed is to take care of my parents. At least not having children is a blessing, because once the divorce is final, I won't have to be in contact with her, but that will take time. Every time I hear her voice, it just brings back the pain. My way of hurting myself is to look at all of our pictures and reminisce about the otherwise good times we had. I just don't understand why I'm so stuck in the past, mourning something I thought I was ready to leave behind anyway. I lie awake at night analyzing everything I did wrong and feeling like I was never good enough for anyone. I wonder why I deserve to be treated badly and why my life is so shitty. I feel like I'm always on the losing end. Now I'm old, broken, and feel like I don't deserve this shitty life. I have no hopes or dreams, just alone in my own thoughts. More thoughts from last night. She hasn't even reached out to me since I left, even though I told her not to. I meant it, and I think she knew that, but there hasn't been one. Sorry, or are you okay with her? Does she just sit at home and act like it's a normal Tuesday? Or maybe not? Christmas before last, we were discussing how we ended up with a dead bedroom. I mentioned that we went through a lot of premature births from IVF about 10, 15 years ago, and after that I was afraid to get too close to her because I was afraid of accidentally getting her pregnant and going through that loss again. It led to both of us needing mental health help, and we only came out of our deepest depression with support and luck. I know now that I made things worse. After she confessed to cheating for about a year, I said something really nasty and told her she deserved to lose all of our children because of the person she is. I'm considering sending her an apology text for saying that, but do you think that mentioning my fears from that time over a year ago caused her to flash back to that painful time and then caused her to cheat on me? I only ever told my therapist about my fears, and we discussed ways to overcome them. We decided it wasn't the right time to bring it up with my wife. Maybe she blames me for our years of intimacy problems. Maybe it's all my fault. Oh God, what have I done? After thinking it over, and probably against my better judgment, I called her. I knew she probably wouldn't answer, so I left a voicemail apologizing for what I had said. I acknowledged that it was hurtful and not true. I'm sorry we ended up here, but I know it's over. Let's handle this like mature adults, not like the 20-somethings we were. When we met, I told her I hope she finds what she needs and left it at that. Last night, my wife called me. She appreciated my apology and knew I said those things to hurt her. We didn't talk much, just some apologies and blah. I mentioned that I was coming home this weekend, but that she didn't need to be there. It was mostly civil, but I made it clear that I didn't care where she went. I even suggested she stay with her boyfriend since that's what she wanted anyway. Of course, she refused and kept saying that she wanted me back and that we could work things out. She begged for a chance, saying she'd never done anything like this before and would do anything to make it right. I have to admit all I want to do is go back in time to any moment in the past year, or even the worst times of our lives instead of now. But this time, I stood my ground and told her I don't see a way for us to be together now. A whole year has passed, and I can't imagine feeling the same way for her. I just asked her how many times she had been silent for a while, but I didn't say anything. Finally, she asked if I really wanted to know because she didn't want to hurt me anymore. I just said I needed to know, and that's when she broke me even more. She said it was only a few times at first, but after about a month, it was almost every day. I was away for about 6 months, and even some weekends. The last few months, it was about once or twice a week when I was away. She had intimacy with him more times in a year than we've had in the last 10, 15 years, maybe even more than when we first started dating. It was like hundreds of times. I wanted to ask more questions, like if he was better, or bigger, or what they were doing. I wanted to know what he was doing. I couldn't, but I couldn't stand it anymore. I just told her to go to him this weekend so I could be alone at home and sort out my important things. I don't even have a permanent place to put my things. I'm awake and have a bottle of good scotch. Now I have to work and take care of my parents while dealing with a hangover. So, as we agreed, I went back to the house to get some things. Luckily, she's nowhere in sight. I'm picking up some documents I forgot last weekend, and then I'm packing clothes and other stuff. It's going faster than I expected. I've got my AirPods in and play some good tunes to stay positive. I go down to the basement and start packing a few things from there. It's hard, but I'm determined to keep moving forward before I get too depressed. As I'm in the basement, I faintly hear the sound of water running in the pipes above the tunes. It goes on for a while before I notice it. I go upstairs and hear the shower running. I'm like, what the hell? I decide to make myself a cup of coffee and go to my car. At first, I thought about driving away, but I just end up sitting in the driveway. I feel overwhelmed by everything that's happening. I start to write a long and nasty text message, but then I decide not to send it as proof of anything, so I just sit there and wait, hoping she'll leave again. While I'm outside, my new neighbor comes by and introduces himself when he sees me outside having a smoke. I don't tell him anything, but I try to be friendly. Just as we're about to say goodbye, the garage door opens, and she's standing behind her car asking to talk to me. I have to introduce myself to this new neighbor and my wife. We didn't really talk much, and even the new neighbor could feel the tension and left as soon as she got inside. I was still in shock and just asked her why she was there, and she explained that she couldn't move into her new place until later and was at the gym again. She wanted to take a shower and get some things. She assumed I wouldn't mind and thought she could come and go as she pleased. I just stood there wondering who the hell this person in front of me was. After a short, awkward apology from her, she suggested that we shouldn't move too fast while things are still raw. Maybe we should try more counseling, and she knows we still love each other, blah. I looked her in the eye and just said, "No, please go. I have things to do, and you agreed to stay away." I told her this is what she caused, and then I went back to the basement. I'm sitting here typing this now, trying to control myself and my blood pressure. Luckily, I just heard the garage door open and the close, so she's gone, but I'm still a bit upset. I want to get back to packing, but my bourbon collection is staring me in the face. I have to admit, I had a good one earlier. If I have another, this early today will be even more of a bust. Here's what happened. Sunday came after another night of no sleep, just packing and feeling so miserable. It was all so hard. Going through memories, pictures and things we chose together. Our wedding album and other things just brought up more emotions. I tried hard to control myself, but I pushed through and focused on the things that meant the most to me. Unfortunately, one item hit me the hardest: the sealed ear with our children's ashes. We had planned that when one of us was gone, we'd mix our ashes and have a relative scatter them in the ocean at our favorite beach. Well, those plans are obviously off now. But here's the thing. I don't know if it's wrong that I want her with me. I mean, I know I have to talk to her about it eventually, but I have no idea how that's going to go. I'm not sure if we can have it opened and share the remains. It just feels wrong, like neither of us would have them. I don't even know if that's possible or even a thing. I guess I'll ask my lawyer when I hire one. At this point, I haven't mentioned it to her because my trust in her is below zero update. Here's what's really going on now. Sunday evening, I'm almost done packing the stuff I'm taking with me for now. I wanted to have enough so that if I couldn't bear to come back for a few weeks, I'd be prepared, and I also picked out some important mementos and documents. We had agreed that she would be back after 9, and frankly, I didn't want to be there. When she arrived, I resisted the urge to mess with electronics or the router just to spite her. I felt like I was the bigger person for once, thanks to some supportive phone calls from a friend and messages here and there. So it's around 7 a.m., and I'm loading the last of my stuff into my car. Guess what? No surprise. She shows up looking a little shaken, but nowhere near as bad as I felt inside. She starts talking about how it seemed like I was ready to leave, and if I could at least talk to her. I was already angry that she was there, and I tried to be strong, but I knew it wasn't easy. I told her that I didn't want to be late, and that I had to get back in time to relieve the weekend help with my parents. I only had a few minutes, but if there was anything important, she could tell me, and I'd call her if I needed to. As we drove, she said she understood and really wanted to talk about what happened this weekend without me getting mad. She claimed she spent the weekend alone, but I'm not sure I believe she thought about everything that happened and what she did to us. She knew I couldn't forgive her, but she said she still loves me and will always be in love with me. She knows I don't believe her now, but she's angry at herself for hurting and destroying me so badly. The man who loved her unconditionally and was always there for her. I tried my best not to scream, sob, hug her, or anything, and just gave her a stoic look of indifference. I admit I failed. My eyes were watering, but I tried hard not to let the tears fall. Yes, I failed at that too. I didn't really say much. I just listened and hoped to leave after she said what she needed to say. I listened to her say many things and justifications, reasons why she thought she had been doing this for so long, why she didn't stop herself, and why she thought I didn't care or was cheating on her. She thought I must have been cheating for so many years, and that we had become like roommates. Despite everything, she still knew that I was the only man she wanted to spend her life with. She wanted to confess to me many times, but she knew I would never be able to accept her back if she told me what she had done. She kept insisting that it was all her fault, not mine, and said she was going to counseling to understand why she'd been doing this for so long. She felt our life together was ruined because she had everything she wanted and thought she could live without intimacy. She even seemed to accept that I could be with other people if I wanted, which sounded like typical cheater talk, but then she confirmed my suspicions. She brought up our conversation from the Christmas before last, when she got really angry because I was afraid to be around her, because I was afraid of getting her pregnant again. She thought I was using IVF as an excuse, and that I never really wanted her or a family, especially since I didn't want to adopt. She was upset because she felt that closeness and family were missing from our lives, and she blamed me for keeping them from her. She was angry because she thought I blamed her for losing our children and lied about it. She felt I was disgusted with her for losing them and couldn't forgive her. However, she claimed that she loved me enough for both of us all these years. When my parent got sick and was out of the hospital, she thought I was using it as an excuse to avoid her. Suddenly it clicked in her head, and she realized her worst fears were true. She just wanted to feel loved, but she believed I didn't love her and had been lying all along. This so-called gym guy was never even on her radar until all these issues came up. She never even considered being unfaithful at first. She wasn't even that emotional with him. She did it out of spite, but then she started missing the intimacy and told him it was just that she had no intention of leaving me. She claimed she never really talked to him about me, but I doubt that now. Over time, she developed a connection with him and admitted to feeling something she hadn't felt in years, though it was nothing compared to what we shared. Eventually, she confessed that it was over with him and hoped that I could forgive her and talk to her about finding a way forward, even if we had to break up now. She asked if we could take some time before divorcing. She knows what she did was terrible, but she feels that I've been dishonest for so many years, and I should give her the chance she deserves. Honestly, I couldn't hold back anymore and blurted it out. Do you really think you deserve a chance after a year of cheating? I had shared my deepest fears in therapy, but I never wanted a situation like this to happen, so I kept them hidden. I tried so hard over the past few years to connect with her, to be romantic and committed, but she barely acknowledged my efforts. I thought being vulnerable and sharing my deepest secret would bring us closer and show how much I cared, but instead, she used it to cheat and ruin my life. I was devastated, and thoughts of ending it all crossed my mind every day. She admitted that she considered it, but decided against it for my sake. I couldn't hold it in and screamed, "But you could do this to me for a whole year." After I calmed down, I told her I could never be open and vulnerable with her or anyone else again. She took my fears, my weakness, my shame, and my honesty and used them against me, and it changed me forever. I was afraid that this revelation was the reason for everything that happened after, considering the timing and all, according to her, but I still wasn't sure if I believed her when she said it was her first time doing something like this. I was already about 45 minutes later than I had planned to leave. I knew I had to rush up the highway, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind anyway. I left promising to think more about what she said and call her if I had any questions or more to say, but during the drive all I could do was blast some loud music and cry in pain as my thoughts of causing this mess were confirmed. The drive was even more painful than the first one after D-Day. I ended up not calling her again now, in the clear light of day. I'm wondering if I caused all this, and if she could have seen my posts and used them against me. But to be honest, she's not really into social media, and I doubt she even uses Reddit. It was never on her phone tablet or in her app store history. I can't believe I let my guard down with someone and shared things I shouldn't have. Maybe if I never opened up, I wouldn't be in this mess. It feels like karma because I was thinking about leaving last fall anyway. Now I'm just going through the motions, and it proves that I should act like the happy guy and never let my guard down again. I feel like I ruined everything I had. I'm still consulting with my lawyer and trying to figure out my path forward because I don't know how to get back with her after all this. The truth is she just ripped my heart open again and destroyed everything I was holding on to keep me going. I have hired a lawyer to handle our legal stuff. Let me know who they should contact. You should get legal advice for what you have done. Can we talk about this and figure out how to handle it? Please call me back. I'm sorry for how you must feel. I know I don't deserve a chance to talk before you make your decisions. Maybe we need some time for things to settle down. I know that you probably think better of me than I deserve. I'd like to talk about counseling, but let's do it away from work emails. Can you text or call me? I'll be busy with work and the P move. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be using your personal email from now on. Thanks. Think about what I said. I hope you have someone you can talk to. I understand that you must feel alone. I know you always care more about others than yourself. How's P doing with the move? Tell them I love them too. I'm really sorry. Call me soon, dear. I just realized something, P. My parents are losing everything they own. Their home of over 50 years, and all the memories when they move into a facility. Can you imagine how a person with dementia feels when they are moved like that? How they have to be reminded every day because they forget, and then they have to go through the emotions all over again. I try to be gentle with them, but it's hard. We find out what they really want to keep. After thinking more about the conversation, what really stuck with me was when she talked about not sending things to work. At first, I understood. You know, keeping personal stuff separate from work email makes sense, but then I realized that she must have been using her work phone to do that. Her personal phone was always pristine, and I even updated it for her when she got a new watch last Christmas. I guess I could have missed something, but anyway, here goes an update. It's been about a month since my last post about the mess my life and my wayward wife have become. I'm sharing this update because things have both gotten better and worse at the same time. If you're interested in the whole backstory, you can check my post history for all the details. But to keep it short, my wife of 25 plus years cheated on me for about a year while I was away taking care of my elderly parents most of the week. On the bright side, my parents have been in a care facility for a little over a month now, and they seem to be adjusting pretty well. I visit them often, and they are happy to see me and still recognize me most of the time. I've also taken care of packing and selling all their things and hope to close the real estate deal this week. As for me, I have found a better place to stay temporarily. I'm staying with a friend who lives close to work. It's working well for now, and I was considering getting an apartment right away, but this arrangement is fine for the short term. Now let's talk about the rest. I served her with divorce papers, but her lawyer responded in a confrontational manner. Recently, I had to deal with a maintenance issue at our old house. It wasn't too serious, but it needed quick attention. Fortunately, she wasn't there when I arrived to deal with it. I met with the contractor, fixed the problem, and hoped to be gone before she returned. It took a few hours, but I managed to move things around and get it done. But of course my luck couldn't stay that good. Later that day, I got a call from a doctor saying that she had been admitted to the hospital. I'm still her emergency contact and her husband, so it wasn't really a surprise before I got there. She had called an ambulance thinking she was having a heart attack, but it turned out to be a panic attack. She's been there ever since, and I had to call her boss to let them know she was going to be out for a while for medical reasons. After talking to the doctor, I realized that I needed to visit her. The doctor said I could visit her since she requested it, but I had to be non-confrontational because she was in a delicate state. I was really confused because I didn't want to visit if it was just the usual scam script BS, but I still care about her and don't want her to hurt herself or struggle to take care of herself in the future. She has been in mental health care in the past, along with another chronic health issue. She's been through these hard times her whole life. I was there for her 100% and did everything I could to help her get through it. Also, selfishly, I don't want it to affect our ability to do our business together. I talked to my friend about it, and she said it's up to me whether I want to visit her or not. I also talked to my lawyer after the first few visits. They told me to be careful, not to make any promises or say anything that could be used against me, etc. I knew before the visit that cheaters often use attempts to end things as a way to manipulate. But given her history, I'm aware that this could be a real and serious situation she's in. I know I shouldn't let myself get caught up in anything related to her actions. I don't want to slow down my progress and move on with my life, but there is a part of me that feels the need to be there for her. It's frustrating that I still have these feelings and wish none of this had happened, but it did. I've tried to be firm with her, but seeing her in this state could cause setbacks. Now, before you jump on me, I can't just leave her. It's not in my nature. She really doesn't have anyone else. Her only close friend lives far away and is dealing with her own serious illness right now. So I told her doctor I'd visit her in the hospital, and I did, and when I got there the next day, she was a mess. I brought some things she might need since it looked like she'd be there for a few days when I got there. She was still sleeping within 4 monitors, but they didn't seem to be related to mental health. I thought maybe it was dehydration or something, but watching her sleep brought back memories of how beautiful and peaceful she looked, like the person I used to want to be. As I sat there watching her, all the anger and feelings of betrayal came back, but I held it together. Eventually she woke up and was surprised to see me. She begged for a hug and forgiveness, but I told her I was there to make sure she was okay and that I was worried about her. I didn't want to talk about us. We managed to be civil about everything, but there were a lot of tears on her side. We talked for a long time. Then she dropped another bombshell, and it felt like my world was falling apart. During her visit to the gynecologist for STD tests and a pelvic exam, they found something that was still being evaluated. I thought, here we go. She's caught an STD, and I'm going to hear about it, but luckily it wasn't that. They found pretty aggressive ovarian cancer. Now I'm not an expert, but I know that type of cancer is usually serious. I had to leave the room for a moment to collect myself. There were so many emotions going through me, and I didn't want her to see them. After I collected myself, we talked for a long time. I finally agreed to help her in any way I could. Part of me wanted to tell her to rely on her BF now, but I made it clear that my decision had nothing to do with us being together. I felt I would do the same for her if the situation were reversed, but who knows, it turns out. Her panic attack was triggered by getting this news, and also because I completely ignored her birthday. Plus, she got served with divorce papers the same week. It's like a perfect storm of crap has hit her life. It almost feels like karma. She felt overwhelmed and thought it would be easier to end her life than to face me and this disease alone. She lost everything and now faces the prospect of losing her life on top of it, and she didn't want me to suffer from her medical debt. She thought her life insurance and giving me the house would give me a fresh start, but I was able to convince her that all I wanted was for her to fight with everything she's got and be there for her. I told her that she was no reason to end her life. So that's what I've been up to lately, driving up and down the highways for work, visiting my parents in the hospital, staying with my friend, and now going back to our old house to get more of her things. They moved her to a regular room because the doctors don't think she's a danger to herself anymore. She's had more tests, and today we'll find out the exact stage of her cancer from the initial tests. It's at least stage 2B or worse. If it's not stage 4, I think we might have a chance, but if it is stage 4, it's going to be a tough and short road ahead. I'm typing this in the hospital cafeteria right now, waiting for the oncology department to give us more results and details. I'm the kind of person who will do anything for someone, even if their actions drive me away. I'd be a complete mess. Not that I haven't been in private, but once again I'm trying to be strong for both of us and stay optimistic, which is totally against my pessimistic nature. The biggest thing that could happen, if it's not a lost cause, is that she will need major emergency surgery during chemo, and she will need care and support during recovery. I've agreed to be there for her through the surgery, chemo, and recovery if that's the best case scenario. I haven't explicitly told her that I'm going to move in and live with her, although that's probably what I'll have to do. But this decision hasn't changed my mind about divorce. I talked to my lawyer about what all this means for our separation, and if we can still be considered separated during this time. They said, we can treat this as a domestic separation as long as certain things don't happen, which would be impossible anyway. My other concern is how I can avoid being responsible for any of her medical debt from this situation, as it's likely to delay our divorce proceedings. They told me we can amend our settlement agreement, but she would need to agree that none of this is my responsibility. So the question is, can I take care of her through this, avoid getting emotionally involved again, and still move on with my life no matter how this situation ends? Update for those still interested. I finally met with the doctors. It is stage 2B and has spread, but the tumors are still small and have not reached the bladder or other distant organs like the liver, which is almost impossible to cure. She will have to undergo serious surgeries and chemotherapy. I had already made up my mind that I would support her in her fight, no matter what she did. I can't just let her face this alone without any support. I know some might say it's not my responsibility anymore, but I guess I can't be the cold-hearted person I thought I was at first, and I don't care what others think. I'm doing this for myself. Although I support her through this, I will proceed with our separation and divorce. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to move back in temporarily to help her for a while. I've discussed this with my lawyer, and they understand my position. They say we can still consider it a separation as long as we don't sleep together, which won't be a problem for several reasons. We also have to agree that she won't make the process more difficult, which seemed to be her original plan. I'll make sure she understands that my support is contingent on her not contesting or prolonging the process. I'll agree to give her time to get better. I may feel guilty that I'm bargaining with her life, but everyone has their limits. In the next few days, she'll go in for more biopsies and major surgery. The treatment plan is aggressive, but it's better to stop the spread now. I don't need any more details. As my post title says, her cheating may have saved her life, because otherwise she probably would have caught it too late. So I guess someone in that situation gets a win. I really appreciate all the comments and advice. I know they come from a place of support, but ultimately the decisions are mine. I just want this part of my life to happen and eventually end. I can't continue to feel obligated to anyone else. My parental attachments only seem to bring pain, but I guess in the end it's my fault for getting attached in the first place. I'll continue to monitor this account and may make updates, but for now, I guess this is the path I have to take. I've been in the hospital with WW since yesterday morning, and it's been really rough, just like everything else that's happened. First of all, she's in bad shape. During the surgery, she seized and they had to stop it because her blood pressure was uncontrollable. Among other things, the surgeon removed a lot of the cancer, but not all of it. She will need more surgery, but it's too risky right now, and last night, she even had a seizure that caused more damage to the bleeding, so they had to take her back into surgery, even though it wasn't initially recommended to stop the internal bleeding. She came out of surgery this morning, but has been in and out of consciousness. The medical team is doing everything they can to prevent a stroke. I'm not sure if she's going to make it, and I've been running on no sleep for 2 days, imagining the worst. She's a little more stable now, but it's still a very delicate situation, which adds to the stress. While waiting for her first surgery, I used her work phone and saw a message from her affair partner a few weeks ago from an unknown number. I noticed that she had blocked his other number, but I kept their conversation in the message as evidence. He asked how she was and apologized for the way he treated her the last time they saw each other. There's a whole story I won't go into, but basically I tracked down the guy involved and things got messy and dangerous. He contacted her, and she agreed to meet him to avoid legal trouble, but it happened anyway. This was almost a month ago. I saw her reply to him where she said he was the biggest mistake of her life. She regretted meeting him and wanted no further contact. She even asked him not to contact her for everyone's safety. I don't take this as significant since I found it myself and she didn't admit anything to me, so I guess she still has her secrets. I managed to go through everything, including her work emails and personal accounts. I even went back to before last year and found nothing suspicious before then. But it doesn't change my mind about the divorce or helping her. I'm just ranting because everything is messed up right now. She could live or die without ever knowing. I know that, and the only thing it proves to me is that she is still capable of lying to me. I don't even know if we'll ever get a chance to talk about this. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. Anyway, I might be done with my post now, because nothing else really matters if she's not alive, or has some brain damage, or is in a worse state than expected. I'm still going to do everything I can for her and hope for the best, but honestly, I tend to expect the worst. The best I can hope for is to get some real sleep before the update at the end of the week. So here's the latest episode of my crap show today. WW's condition has been up and down, mostly down. They think she had a small stroke, but she's still hanging in there and improved slightly over the weekend, though she's not out of the woods yet. The doctors are a little more optimistic. She's more conscious, but in a lot of pain and on some strong medications. They moved her out of the ICU, and she'll probably go to rehab before she goes home. On Thursday, WW's best friend M contacted me. We hadn't talked since all this happened. I figured she knew and was just on WW's side. No matter what, I left her a voicemail the night after WW's first surgery in case they hadn't talked, letting her know that WW might not make it. I said if she wanted to see her, she should come soon, in case the worst happened. M and I have never been very close, but we've been friends since we were teenagers and went to college together. We've spent time together during holidays and a couple of vacations. So Thursday, M called and expressed how sorry she was that we were going through all this and said she'd like to come visit us. She asked if she could stay at the house. I guess she thought I was still living there. I told her she could stay and use WW's car if she needed it. I've been at the house part-time, so it's not empty, but not every night, and it still hurts to be in my own house. I agreed because she's always been a really good person, and I know the loss of her friend is weighing on her. Thursday night, I picked her up at the airport, and we went straight to the hospital. We talked more about WW's condition and what had happened since the surgery. She finally tells me that she knows what happened to us, but she says that WW only told her everything a few days before she was first admitted to the hospital, when she got the news about the cancer and was served with the divorce papers. She told me they hadn't talked much in the last year. Not like they used to, but she thought it was because WW was dealing with the news of her own medical struggles, and she wasn't coping well with the possibility of losing her best friend. The crazy thing was that she had shared with WW her suspicions that her husband was cheating and how they were trying to work through it. She believed it was just an emotional affair and that he had a crush on someone at work but didn't act on it. Eventually, she said, he realized what he was risking and came back to her. I didn't say much about it except to tell her to check everything he said. I hadn't seen anything about this in WW's text conversations, but since we're all over 50, we're probably more phone people than text people, so it kind of makes sense. The absolute irony and slap in the face for both of us was that she was advising WW on how to approach her husband about this and how to handle her marriage counseling. She helped her set boundaries and demand the respect she deserved, etc. M told me how they argued a lot when she confronted WW about everything. She wasn't sure if they could still be friends, and after discovering how deceitful WW had been to both of us, M even admitted to cursing her out and saying she deserved whatever consequences she faced in the divorce. This is surprising because M isn't the type to use foul language. She's quite religious and decent. After the argument, DBYW tried to call M several times, but M ignored the calls. That's why she didn't answer my call. When I reached out to her, she thought I was trying to get her more involved in the situation. However, when M heard my voicemail, she realized that she couldn't stay away without seeing us again, just in case the worst happened, and she didn't want their last words to be during a heated argument. We spent a lot of time together that weekend, but don't worry, it wasn't in a bad way. M shared some more insights with me after her visits with WW. We talked almost every night until very late, and it was kind of nice because she never pressured me to stay together, but I could tell that she was getting more understanding after each visit. Last night, M surprised me by telling me something unexpected. DW had asked her to talk to me about DNR and what to do if her condition worsened. W wasn't sure if it got worse, if I could take her off life support. She also expressed that if her condition worsened to the point of unbearable suffering or major disability, she would want to end her life. W asked M to convince me to let her go if the time came and I made the request, or if M couldn't handle the outcome. I'm not even sure what circumstances other than being brain dead would be legally allowed here tonight. I'm going to talk to her about the whole situation, but honestly, I'm not sure what to say. I'm the type of person who believes in not prolonging someone's suffering, and I would probably make the right decision under the right circumstances, but I can't commit to anything more than that, and I'll never be sure if I'm doing it just to be done with all this pain or not even in the right medical scenario. I think I'd carry a lot of guilt forever. I'm also going to discuss this with my therapist, but my appointment is not until later in the week. Quick update before she left. I asked her friend M if she would consider being the medical POA for my wife, and she's thinking about it. I will also ask a close relative, even though they live far away, but I can't guarantee they will do it. I'm not going to make any decisions except legal ones. I spoke briefly with my lawyer, and we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, but tonight I'm going to let her know that I understand what she wants, but I can't agree to it right now.